Good evening. My name is Eric Emmett, and tonight I would like to speak with you about my UDL critical event analysis on my OL 520 data-driven decision-making class. The class itself is a grad level data-driven decision-making for executives class, which focuses on using data analysis. My critical event is centered around Module 2, where I introduce Bader framework, a five-step deductive reasoning model that serves as the course's cornerstone and competency benchmark. Bader stands for uh, business questions, analysis plan, data collection, derive insight, and recommendations. The framework is designed to plug hypotheses in, starting with the business question, and help to solve or disprove the hypotheses. And it's a relatively new theory, and most of our students are experiencing it for the first time. So what was working well is that before diving into the actual problems, I used appreciative inquiry to examine what was succeeding. So using underlying guideline 3 to provide multiple means of engagement, we tried to expand upon what the actual offerings were outside of Beta that could support the individuals. Under Principle 7, provide options for recruiting interest. I was applying 7.1 to optimize additional individual choice and some autonomy by letting the students select the case studies from organizations. It's also looking at 7.2 for optimizing relevance, value, authenticity, just helping the students to understand correlation analyses and how to validate their hypotheses in using real world examples. So the barriers that I identified and were revealed is that the fundamental problem being students coming in with a huge disengagement, anxiety about thinking Beta was in the stats data class was a collegiate level stats class. So the problem again, identifying that um, the students looking at this for the first time uh, can then make the personal correlation that, hey, this is going to be my portfolio assignment. So if I don't get this, maybe I can't continue in the program. So there's a huge vernacular issue, and it was really stopping the students in the first part of Beta. So the timing at the introduction um, really didn't help to put the students' minds at ease. So the the cognitive disconnect was apparent from the onset. So right at module 2, this is where we started seeing these problems with the students, and they weren't quick to share. So really had to be extracted through just reaching out and having conversations with the students. So one of the solutions based on UDL practices is I gamified the approach to Beta and I turned it into essentially a game of Clue, where the insight steps mirror Clue identically, where you eliminate possibilities and deduce solutions so they can determine who did it, where, and with what weapon versus when you're looking and you can kind of apply that through many different lenses to different industries to create a deductive reasoning model. So the principle 7, again, 7.1 and 7.2, the relevance in 7.2 of connecting game mechanics to workplace challenges really saw the students connect. And under principle 8, provide options for sustaining effort and persistence, particularly 8.1 of heightening salience and 8.4 for mastery orientated feedback through collaborative game sessions. People were talking, they were communicating. It's a cohort model, so there were a lot of folks that were engaging with one another and supporting them as I guess kind of an ancillary benefit that wasn't planned. So the results have been super. One student told me that playing Q with his department productivity issues made everything click. Again, bringing it to that particular level of understanding is super important because we are scaffolding and building upon this. So my particular journey, participating in this institute, fundamentally transformed my understanding of systemic instructional design flaws, where we just kind of put these things out there, and we are not really scaffolding them well. And using UDL 3.0, it really revealed that good intentions without systematic barrier removal are not really going to support a framework, and it's certainly not going to you won't be able to scaffold on. So I learned that effective teaching requires identifying specific barriers and applying the targeted UDL principles rather than hoping a generic strategy will work for everyone. And my takeaways, probably my biggest one is embracing the plus one solution philosophy. Small strategic changes and are usually much more effective and more profound than wholesale curriculum overhauls. And UDL taught me that accessibility isn't about lowering standards, but it's about removing unnecessary barriers. And through my critical event analysis, that we didn't just solve an individual teaching problem, we transformed an entire learning experience. And using a pay it forward mentality, we're seeing that in the class. And ironically, I have this cohort again in a 650 class, and they brought that with them. And it's a pretty powerful thing to see. Uh, I would just like to thank you. It's been a pleasure taking this journey with my fellow classmates, and I appreciate all the support and have a great night. Thank you.